shoot, I didn't do the intro song. Shoot, I screwed up the intro. It's okay. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Welcome to the Growing with Fishes podcast, episode 251. I totally forgot to cue up the intro song, so you guys will have to forgive me. Welcome to the Growing with Fishes podcast. It's been a long week. Today we have Pham, who's joining us from Vietnam. Hopefully I pronounced his name right. We tried to go over that before the show. So thanks a lot for joining us, buddy. We haven't had a chance to talk to anyone from Vietnam.
Yeah, hi Steve and hi everyone. My name is Khánh. You can call me Khánh or just a K letter as the beginning of my name. I'm from Vietnam and we are running a small aquaponic system here, about 400 square meter in a total of 1,000. It's my honor to be here.
Awesome. And you also do a lot of work with different natural farming methods as well, right? I've seen you post a lot about Korean natural farming.
Yes, actually we start our aquaponic system with some like inorganic chemical that we add on to just for controlling pH and some supplement like K, magnesium or calcium or potassium and some iron. But I think it's not enough substantial for us, so we would like to change it. And when I found out the great method called IMO, actually we call it IMO4 here, and we did some practice and applied it from now.
Awesome. Yeah, we'd love to hear about that as well. I was very impressed with the depth of knowledge that I've seen you post on, especially when it comes to gathering potassium or some of the different nutrients. You seem to have a lot more knowledge than a lot of the other people I've seen post. So it was really cool to see that data. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. About the common supplement that people often add in a common system like a hydroponic or aquaponic, like calcium, magnesium, or potassium. People often choose some easy way like calcium carbonate, potassium carbonate, or Epsom salt, and we used it before. But when I found the IMO method, I applied it like for potassium. There are a lot of banana trunk around our farm, and we use it to extract the potassium from that into a liquid solution, and we measure it by testing with the HANA machine, and we know the exact concentrate of potassium ion in that liquid. Compare with the current potassium level in our system, we calculate the difference. Then we calculate the final liquid that we need to add in to raise the potassium level up to the one we desire.
Yeah, it's really awesome. There aren't a lot of people out there looking at the exact numbers on a lot of fermented plant juices and things like that, and it's really wonderful that you're doing this work. There aren't a lot of people that have access to this type of stuff, so hats off to you for that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, not at all. So when we at the first time we measure it, we don't think we don't get it so much, but by the time it fermenting and go degrade, by the time it come more and more like potassium concentration in that liquid. At the first time of testing, I just get something around 100 ppm, and for about 2 to 3 months after that, when I maintain the same chunk of banana, of course we chop it into small pieces for it easier to break down. And after 3 or 4 testing, I get a very much higher number of potassium concentration. Like at the moment, in a barrel of 200 liters, we can get almost 31 grams per liter. 31 grams of potassium ion per liter of that liquid is very high, very high. That I think with just one chunk, about like 40 to 50 kilogram at the beginning, we can use it about more than a half year. Just that.
That's crazy. So you noticed a big increase after month 2 and 3 of fermentation with the banana trunks rather than a fast fermentation. So the longer you let it ferment, the higher the potassium was, is what you're saying?
Yeah, yes, I do say that. And we keep maintain that small species of banana trunk in the same barrel. The thing we just add in is just the IMO liquid. We keep continue to make the IMO liquid to add in. Then we extract the product from that barrel.
So you're fermenting it in the IMO, the liquid IMO.
Yes. At the first time, I made the.
Can you explain that? Because that's a whole new concept, I think, to a lot of people in the West. They've never heard of fermenting in liquid IMO. So can you walk us through that process? Because this is wholly new to people in the West.
Yes. At the first time, I made the origin IMO liquid. Then I multiplied it to many times. Like at the first time, we made 20 liter, for example. And then about a week later, we multiplied it 20 times more. I used that liquid after that to shrink banana chocolate species in that barrel, and just let it go. Then we just have to supplement the banana chunk after all the things go down and there's nothing left. So like I said before, with just one chunk of 30 to 50 kilogram of banana chunk, we can use it more than a half year from now.
That's a large amount to make from a small amount of material. That's really awesome. Have you done work with anything other than the banana trunks? Have you tested any other plants as well?
Yes, with the calcium, we use eggshell and the shell of shrimp that we put in together, and like I remember, I need to check it.
The chitin from the shrimp is good for the plants too, for the immune system stimulation.
Yes, I think it's good, and it raises the taste and flavor of the plant too. I noticed the huge difference of taste and flavor before and after we use it method to our system. To extract the calcium ion, we use the same method, with the first weight of 3.5 kilogram of eggshell. We use it from now, and it keep give us a high number of calcium ion in that liquid, and we don't have to use calcium carbonate or any other inorganic chemical again. And we love to keep it go along with us with our farm, and it's very cheap.
Yeah, that's really awesome, man. I had never heard of it being that high in iron as well. That's really interesting to learn about. Definitely want to go try this IMO fermentation for sure. That's definitely a new thing I have definitely never heard of. What other types of interesting things have you? Is there any other things that you've fermented or done any testing on as far as the as well, aside from the bananas and the eggshells? Or
there are another barrel that we use seaweed and some other stuff from around farm that we just want to extract micronutrient, but it's a long term that we need to expose more number, because we don't test it commonly like potassium or calcium, but we keep using it. And a very interesting thing that we noticed from that method is you know that the healthy aquaponic system is that the pH keep going down, right? And when we notice, we measure the pH every day. When we notice it out of the range, we raise it, but not by any other thing from inorganic chemical. We use that fermented liquid too. It is a very interesting of the counter track of it is the original liquid is very low in pH, like 30, no, 3.5 to 4.0 pH. But when we add it on, after a day, the pH go up. It's very interesting phenomenon that like one stone hit two birds.
oh yeah, no, that's really cool. Having that kind of time delayed increase really can be useful sometimes as well.
Yeah.
Very cool. Have you done anything in regards to foliar application or pest management with any types of natural farming methodology?
Yes, about the foliar spraying, we use that liquid too. Some kind of plant in our system have some nutrient disorder. We dilute it with the ratio about 1 to 50 or 1 to 100, and then we spray it on the leaf. Also, that for the nutrient supplement about some disease and like anthracnose, that we use it, but it's not come up with the very strong evidence that I can say now, but it has some symptom that it will increase and cure that. But for sure, I also apply the Chadam method of Korea. Do you know that? Yeah.
Yes.
They have a very cool method to kill worms or leaf disease, and make a solution from sulfur, and they call it the JS, the sulfur solution. We made it, and we applied it in our misting system, and also we use it to treat some plant disease. It's also very cool.
So what types of crops have you grown in your aquaponics system? What are some of the different things that you've tried to grow in aquaponics and had success with?
Almost we are growing some leafy green and just a little bit of a few cucumber plant. That's not much, just in our test, and we actually never success with tomato. Easy go easy with the leafy green first, and then we move on. A year ago, our farm suffer from a bad root disease. It caused steam rot and Lyphosarium and green wilt that hurt our very much, and we almost discard all of our plant in the system. After that, when we use that the IMO method here, we nurture the kind of microorganism usually called, like, I forgot the name, Bacillus subtilis. Do I pronounce it right?
Yeah, so in the States they call it labs or lactobacillus. Yep, you pronounced it right.
Yeah. So when we raise it and add it in our system, we also make that easier and decrease the symptom and save a lot of plant until now.
Oh yeah, lactobacillus is one of the best things that you can add to an aquaponic system if you aren't familiar with it, especially if you're trying to just get your foot wet. That and liquid IMO really are the two best things that you can add to an aquaponic system from the KNF world. If you're into just getting started in natural farming, lactobacillus is super easy to make. Liquid IMO is super easy to make.
Yeah.
Both of them don't take a ton of learning, a little bit of a learning curve, but not much. But both of them have incredible impacts and how much the minerals that are unlocked by those microbes from the fish waste. They'll take your fish waste and increase, a dramatic amount of the nutrients that are unlocked from it.
Yeah. So do you run some kind of test about that?
Oh yeah, so in fact, Joe Pate has done a whole bunch of work with lactobacillus specifically. There's actually a couple of papers out now on lactobacillus and aquaponics. I've personally used it to treat E. coli. So in some of the industries that I work in, they test the water and they test the plant material regularly. And we've actually used that in facilities that have non-human pathogenic E. coli and failed for testing. We were able to go back in, treat it with lactobacillus for 2 treatments, basically 1 treatment every 2 weeks for a month. After 30 days, we were able to test it again, which is how fast we could legally test again for retesting. And we were able to pass with no E. coli detected. So it's really good for eliminating pathogens. One of the other good things about making lactobacillus is that you can skim the cheese off the curds and feed it to your fish. It's just fat and protein and vitamin B. And remember that lactobacillus has very high in vitamin B as well. So it helps accelerate the growth rate of both fish and plants by 15 to 20%, depending on how much you're feeding them. But you can dose the lactobacillus directly into the aquaponic system in the water, take a scoop to seed the next batch, and then feed the cheese and the curds at the top off to your fish, and it helps keep the system healthy. It helps eliminate a lot of the sludge and fish waste from the system, and it helps eliminate a lot of the fish-borne or potentially food-borne pathogens that could potentially live in the water. It acts as like an active defense system to keep the system clean. I think in 5 years from now, you're going to see lactobacillus dosing almost required for commercial organic food production, be it aquaponics or organic hydroponics, because it really is such an immense increase in not only that, but it's cheap, right? You're looking at the cost of whatever milk is per gallon, and a gallon, you're just dosing at a 1 to 1,000 or a 1 to 800 dilution rate. So 1 gallon per 1,000. That's not very expensive for most people to ensure that type of food safety, if compared to any other thing that you would spend money on that would have that level of food safety, right? Like it's not even comparable. So it's really been one of the better things that we've found in aquaponics, particularly You know, I really can't speak highly enough about lactobacillus and how important it is. One other thing too, if you're familiar with kefir, from milk that people drink or make cheese from, or yogurt, that also, taking some of that to seed your air collected lactobacillus from the rice wash and combining those both to add both groups of lactobacillus can increase the vitamin B biodiversity output from those lactobacillus. You have a wider range of vitamin B, meaning a better increase in growth rate in the plants, because the plants utilize different forms of vitamin B depending on what exact process that they're doing. So as well as the microbes, right? That vitamin B is also helping the microbes in the soil, the nematodes and all the other things that also will utilize it.
Yeah, that's great. And any document or some kind of research that I can find to learn more about it?
Yeah, I can absolutely send you some stuff here offline. I have actually have a spreadsheet I wanted to show you. In fact, let me just pull it up here.
Yeah, that's right.
So check this out. If you aren't familiar with this, you're gonna love this. And we've talked about this before on the show. So this is, are you familiar with Dr. Duke's phytochemical ethnobotanical database?
Sorry,
so,
I don't.
Sure, so you're talking about potassium, right?
Yeah.
So we'll look for potassium. So we can type in potassium on this chart. And then we can sort by average lowest parts per million. And it tells me that the leaf of this, of Chinese cabbage, is the highest on average potassium containing plant. The leaf of this plant here, chervil, is the next highest, or you can go by total highest ppm. So the highest ever found is actually in lettuce, which is kind of crazy. Or endive, which is the next one for the highest ever found. So it allows you to kind of search and sort through that. You can sort by, you know, do I want to find it in the leaf or the flower or the bud or the bark, or, you know, whatever part of the plant, the roots. You know, especially when you're trying to look around your property and say, hey, what can I look for on my property? This really is an invaluable resource that's, you know, searchable and easy to use. And what's also cool is they have all types of other chemical compounds. So if you're looking for something specific for some whatever reason, there's also the other documented compounds that are in the plant. Some of them are significantly more extensive than others. So
yeah, that's precious information.
Yeah, but you're someone that would be very dangerous with this type of info, so I'm happy to turn you on to it. But you can see they really do a good job of documenting the different compounds that are found in the plants, especially if you're looking for medicinal purposes or medicinal interactions, for drug interactions or other types of recreational chemistry, allegedly. This is a great database to know about.
Okay, I will take time to look at it. I'm sure I will find something interesting here.
You can search by chemicals, plant syndromes, you know, all different types of stuff. So it's a super great database. Again, if you're making ferments or composts or anything else, it really is invaluable. Not everything in here is accurate, though. Just take that with a grain of salt, that some of this stuff was, you know, you might not have the same bioaccumulation in your area as the stuff that was tested for this, you know, cross-referenced publication.
Yeah.
So what are some of the other things that are maybe different about aquaponics or natural farming and aquaponics? I know a lot of people don't really talk about those two worlds kind of in one, and you seem to have a lot of this figured out far beyond most other people. And I'm you know, incredibly impressed with the depth of knowledge that you have on this and how well you have the systems you know, balanced out as for in terms of inputs. What else is kind of maybe unique, and what are some of the other cool things that you guys are working on over there on your side of the pond?
On the side of our farm, we create a kind of a tool like a online app for us to manage our farm, and all of the work load of our farm will combine here and automatically created. and the worker will have their own schedule on that app to check to do their work. And I would like to share some of a little bit about that for you here. That I need to share my screen. Now, can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Here is the main screen of our app on the web. There are many modules for us to manage our farm, like let me we not have the English version here that in the development. So I will talk a little bit about it. Like it is the warehouse management, the cultivation, fishing management, and equipment supervisor. Some incident that we need to notice and notify it on here. The growing environment, everything of environment impact will be recorded and managed here. And very interesting of this part is maintenance. The one is that developing is selling and marketing here that had not just finished. So which one you want to take a look at it first, or I will work you around?
I'll let you drive here. So why don't you walk us through it in whatever order you think makes sense.
Okay, so we should go straight to the cultivation management here. Now, you can see that I can track the exact number of our net pot of in seedling, in incubation period, in seedling period, in baby or mature plant. It is the current number of our system here. You see, and below that is the schedule on the calendar that we create a production plan for our work here. Every plant and every species have their own cultivation procedure that we need to use and choose it to create this production plan. There are two reports that are very valuable here. The production status and the harvesting status, like the expectation of harvesting. We go first in production status, like you see here, there are many batches of plant that displayed here in time of production date and harvest date. That and you can see the mature plant of, for example, for cayman, is 47 net pot, with the old is 43 dates from seedling, from sowing. Sorry. In that report, you can track the current status of our farm, which one is grown, which one in what period, and which one have some problem like leaf disease, growth disorder, or nutrient disorder like this, and some pet disease, some pet problem here that we can track everything, and it's shown here. The second report is about harvesting. great for me. Yeah. From that production status and schedule of planning, we create a harvest plan here that in the future we can expect the likely amount of a plant that we will harvest in and the time here is September 10 and September 16 that we will have 40 net pot, about 6 kilograms of this species. The next week here and so on. What kind of any of species we growing, it will appear and we can track it for the future harvest. Of course, the weight of this species will be decreased or increase in the future, and the net pot is online and get the current number because we check and we scout our farm every day. That is the two report very important in the cultivation management. Do you have a question for us?
No, I'll ask you after the presentation. That's fine. I'm sorry.
Okay. Go back to the main screen. I would like to go in the warehouse management, where we put our material and equipment, also the machine here, or to check it, their status. Sorry.
Worries. This is super interesting and really useful, especially if you're tracking lots of different types of crops and stuff like that. It seems like it'd make it real easy to keep track of.
Yes, especially when you have many, when you grow by batch, then you have to keep on track of every single batch that you plant, and this tool will give you the power to do that. So go back to our warehouse, that every single machine or equipment will be listed, listed in this with many variables belong to that, like their code, the function, or the number of the equipment, and from that table there is a buying order or purchasing order. It will be created automatically when something go down, hit the limit that we set. Then the buyer of our farm will know how and when to buy it to supplement the warehouse status.
Now, does this have stuff as well for like purchasers for lettuce and things like that to kind of see that what's coming down the pipeline? They can say in 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now, I can purchase lettuce.
Yes, like lettuce seed or some kind of media growing, like a coir, coconut coir, or vermiculite, or anything else that list on it, listed in the warehouse. Okay, next move to the growing environment. This is the one I really like. Anything, there are three systems in our farm. The first one is AP system 01, the biggest one, and the two smaller one is AP system 2 and AP system 3. we tracked many elements about the growing environment and water parameters in this. Like you can see, the pH DO of water is the wrong number because it is malfunction. The temperature of the water, nitrogen, potassium level, iron level, calcium concentration, and so on. To get that number, we have to create a automatic schedule for testing, and it's spread out in the timetable. When it hit the certain point, it will create a testing job that the assigned person will take that and do the test. For example, I do the pH test every day. So the person who is in charge of it will take the pH test every day, and they type the number here. Next, for potassium or calcium or magnesium and iron, I create a schedule about 1 week per test. Then they do it every week, one time, and they type the number here. You notice there are some kind of red circle with the narrow arrow down here. That means we create a range that we want our pH in that number, and whenever it out of that range, it will notify us like this. Like here, the pH of AP system 01 is lower than our expectation, so we need to do something procedure to raise it up. In fact, it is more powerful contact and other like contact in our app on the mobile phone, that we can choose the procedure to treat the red circle here. For example, you see that pH is lower, and it is have the red circle here. On, let me turn on our.
I have a question. You have silica on there. Have you done much experimentation with different silica levels?
Not yet. We tested once per quarter. Before we talked about the silicon level in our in the Aquaponic system. That you taught me that should keep the silicon level about around 100 ppm, right?
Yeah, for leafy greens, you wanted at least 60 parts per million to get the effect with the longer shelf life for the fridge. But for flowering crops, it really seems, especially for cucumbers and things like that, to prevent powdery mildew, it does seem to be closer to that 80 to 100 mark to really, kind of prevent that. But when you get the silica up in those elevated levels, it kind of triggers that, whatever, the thick enough cell walls or whatever they need to do to protect themselves in that more humid environment, particularly if you're growing in the tropics. Silica is one of the things that's very bioavailable in soil, but not so much in aquatics. And I think that is definitely an area that can be done better than what current publications are out there.
Yeah, and it's also our issue here that I'm trying to find something to supplement the silicon in our system, but not yet.
So aloe is really good. Stinging nettle is really good. Horsetail fern is really good. Actually, most ferns are pretty high in silica. But aloe is another one that's probably available where you are pretty easily in pretty cheap quantities.
Okay, so go back to the this pH. Like I said before, on our app, when I see the pH is low, I can click on it, and it have many procedure for us to choose. Like I can show you here on the our mobile phone that there is many multiple choice that as a manager I need to choose the right thing, my right procedure to raise pH up. And after I choose that, the person who is in charge of this work will do the rest. Yeah, this is some kind of the power of the app that we are managing our farm here.
So that's cool. So you can have your SOPs kind of built into that and then use it to delegate based on live readings, basically.
Yes, and we also create a huge, I think it's not huge, but very have many information in this, like disease and pest and all things, that like a online library for everyone which want to learn more and which want to dig deep in the method. For example, that let me check out. Here. This, for example, we create this library for further reference, and whenever we have the symptom occur on our plants, we can look at it, go deep in the document, the media here, and sometimes it is just a file of a PDF document, and sometimes it is the video clip that we download from the online YouTube, and we edit here, so everyone can learn from this library and have more knowledge about this. It's like a online library for everyone. To do this app, we have to master every aspect of our farm, and then we create it in modules like you see up here, and every thing in that module we will code it and have some smaller master of structure, and it become like this. So do you have any questions for this?
This is super useful. So we have to have this level of compliance and this level of build out for almost all the stuff in the cannabis industry in the US, and just to be even compliant, certainly in Canada and things like that, you have to have, you know, this level and even more. But this is really is quite the farm management solution that you know, especially as a farm manager, if you had all of your stuff built into that and just being able to delegate everything out quickly and easily, man, it would save you a lot of time.
Yes, of course. And with a role of farm management manager, you can supervise and manage multiple farms at a time, that you don't have to be at the present. Don't be there. You need to check it online, far from it, and give the decision.
Oh yeah, no, that's a super cool app that you've built there, and it looks like you put a lot of time and effort into building that out, and certainly seems like a wonderful resource to have. Is that available in an English version as well? How do people find out if they wanted to try and get involved or get signed up with I don't know how that works with a subscription service, or how you monetize that, but how would they get involved if they wanted to try and find out about it?
Yeah, we are actually we translate the English version for everyone, and there is an app on the App Store in Android Store that we can search it. Its name is O Plus Farming. Let me find it for you on the Android. Here, I will turn my mobile phone screen here that you can see that the logo, the O Plus Farming here, that you can search on the Android store or iOS store and download it to your phone. But before you use it, before you use it, we have to create an account for you. And if you like to take a try, we can invite you a period of time for demo it on your farm, and everything you want to change or modify to suit your situation, we can do it to make it a demo time for you. And the periods would like to last about 2 months. And after that, if you like to use it, and we will have some account and sell it to you. There are many more. There are many modules in that, like I shared before. If you want to take a try in which one, we can open the account for you. But I suggest that you can start with the cultivation module first.
Super cool app, and definitely something I'll be checking out for sure. And especially for people that are trying to manage their grows, that really is a really wonderful app to help manage bigger facilities. What are some of the other tips and tricks that you've found, and maybe utilizing this app, or some of the other types of things that you found for people that are working in aquaponics? Maybe something for beginners, and then something maybe for kind of the more advanced people that you could kind of share with us.
You mean about run the aquaponic system at the beginning? Or?
Yeah.
I think the first one we should take time is spend some time, quite a time on design, especially the space between everything that you need to access. The tank, the filter, or water culture troughs, everything else. You need to spare some time, some space for that you have space to access every material, which is very easy for you to work on it. If not, it will become a burden. And in many type of family scale, they don't notice that, and they quit because of that. I think after the design, I think we should spend some time on some research about the species that we want to grow, which is more suitable in that climate, and take the easy one with a leafy green like lettuce or some bok choy. It is more easy to start with.
Is there anything in particular with the design that you think is critical? You've had a chance to kind of experiment quite a bit.
Not really, but as you know, I am a student of Ryan, if you remember. and I learned a lot from him. So if I suggest that if anyone want to start in it, we need to take time to research and find a good resource to learn about it. Do the right thing before, then we don't need to correct it after that.
Awesome. And then is there something maybe more for the advanced people out there, the more experienced commercial people, that you want to kind of give advice on? You know, if people have been doing this a while, maybe something to help them improve on what they're doing, maybe someplace you think they're spending a lot of time or labor on that they could save time or money on?
Yes, I think the leak point that will tear out the money is nutrient of plants and IPM management, because it will damage the volume and the harvest pretty much. When it happens, like pest or disease, it will crush down everything in that farm and it costs a lot. So we need to learn and do some scouting on the pest and disease. Besides, the maintenance will also be a very important one. We need the first point of creating and use material and equipment is we want to utilize the much ability of that things. So after time of using, it will decrease it, like torn down or wear out, and some kind of stuck in pipe that we don't know. That means we should have some maintenance schedule for that to work on it, and we treat that before it happened. Then everything goes smoothly and run in the path that we desire.
I had another question for you, and this was more to do with I think your part of the world is a little more familiar with this. Have you ever heard of a Korean natural farming fungi called jakaba or jakaba?
I read some of it, but not haven't ever practiced with it before.
Yeah, I know it's an Indonesian natural farming methodology. I just wasn't sure if it was also in Vietnam. That's why I was kind of curious to see if you had heard with it or worked with it at all.
I don't really familiar with it because I learned from Jadam first and then the IMO that we shared. So let's stick to that at the moment. Then if anything interesting more, I can learn more about it.
So is there any other maybe traditional Vietnamese farming methods that are maybe just separate from everything else that we've talked about that are maybe useful for either soil farming or aquaponics that maybe Westerners aren't familiar with? I know oftentimes anytime I travel, I always learn from some of the local farmers some things that maybe we haven't been exposed to. What type of farming techniques? Is there anything maybe you think are might be a little different or something that maybe we haven't heard of before you'd like to share?
Not really, because at that aspect, I don't really have many experience about that. But with the traditional cultivation, I think our father and mother often do some fermentation, but in the very simple way, like they pipe everything in a corner and cover it with some leaf around, straw, and just left there for about a couple of times. Just that, and after some month, they dig it out, mix with some soil around, and just let go. Just a very simple way, but and no technical method to apply it on it, I think.
Interesting. Okay. Very cool. Is there any questions that you have for maybe this side of the pond on how we do aquaponics or anything else that maybe you want to ask us on this side?
Yes. for example, like you are growing cannabis right now, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Is it does it have many difference between the not common leafy green, or is it very unique?
Oh yeah, so it definitely uses a lot more iron, a lot more potassium. It sucks down micronutrients a lot faster, and it feeds a lot heavier, I guess, more than anything else. It feeds much more similar to like a pepper or a large tomato plant, in terms of nutrient demand and what it's going to change in the water chemistry. I guess that's probably the best way to explain it. Other ones that are nutrient hogs, strawberries will suck an incredible amount of iron, you have to like triple the amount of iron on a system if you put a large amount of strawberries. Spinach is another one that just sucks a ton of iron down. I'm trying to think of what else we did in experimental testing. When I worked at the aquaponics source, we tested a bunch of different stuff to try and see, what were the different things that we had to adjust for different types of more valuable crops. And those were definitely ones that we had a lot of documentation for. I'm trying to think of what else. That's really, I found that especially for fruiting crops and things like that, or tomatoes, cannabis, peppers, anything, cucumbers would be another one. Having the dual root zone pots and even having a small amount of mycorrhizal fungi makes a huge difference in powdery mildew exposure and how quickly the plants get or don't get powdery mildew. They're much more resistant when they have that soil fungi, even if it's a tiny amount present in the root zone. It just kind of trains the plant's immune system to be used to it, which seems to be hugely beneficial, as well as the ability to amend the crops. I can top feed, right? So if I need to add more potassium or add something else, I don't necessarily have to do the whole system. I can grow lettuce next to my cannabis and just top feed the cannabis and I'm okay, right? I don't have to be committed fully to one type of crop, which, especially if you're trying to grow a lot of different types of things. If I'm trying to grow cucumbers and tomatoes and lettuce and spinach, I can grow all of those with the same base nutrient and just change that last little bit in the pots themselves. So that's kind of been the big thing. And then in terms of cannabis testing, a huge boost in terpene expression. The additional fungi, terpenes are the things that create flavor, terpenes and flavonoids, and a couple of other secondary compounds. So we've noticed a huge increase in the dual root zone plants versus the non-dual root zone plants via DWC or media bed plants, sometimes as much as 300% increase in total terpene content, which is an immense increase because those soil fungi seem to have very specific triggers on the plant's immune system. And I think that's also why you find that aquaponic lettuce and other things truly do taste better than a lot of other, poorer quality or poorly grown crops. If it's hydroponics or in soil that's not particularly great, aquaponics is going to taste 10 times better. That's one of the nice things about it. And it's because it stimulates the plant's immune system. And in an aquaponic system, you average 168% more microbes in terms of total species on the root system compared to a living, a normal soil garden. So that really changes the immune system stimulation on the plant. So that's why you see that increase, is because the plant's exposed to more microbes in the root system. So it creates more secondary metabolites to protect itself from the environment and creates more flavor.
I see. And how do you test the nutrient level in the cannabis? The sample or in the nutrient liquid?
So we actually currently, at least in the state that I'm in, we can't actually do nutrient testing in the actual tissue. But what we can do is the essential oil production that we can do. So we can test the different terpene levels and cannabinoid levels and the secondary essential oil production. And that's how we compare those testing. So the terpene level, terpinolene, limonene, myrcene, and all those different secondary compounds.
Yeah. So you have to, you have like a schedule for that test, right?
Yeah. So we have most of it's done through third-party testing for the state. We have to have that to be compliant in order for resale. They have to make sure it's clean and you're not spraying it with pesticides and whatever else that you're not supposed to be using. So they require that as part of that. So we have to test everything for cannabinoids, pesticides, terpenes, mycotoxins, and if we're making concentrates, residual solvents. And that basically allows us to test all the different compounds as well as the cleanliness of it. So we can test how strong it is, what the type of medical profile it will have based on that, potency of the different compounds, and then is it clean or not.
Okay. So what is the current method that you control the nutrient concentration for that plant?
Sure. So most of the time we do that, we have some different soil mixes that we use that are time released for the dual root zone section. And then we test the water monthly through a company called MMI Labs out of Georgia. And they test the water usually twice a month at most of our facilities. Some of the cannabis facilities are testing once a week. And then we send that water out and then have it tested and come back. So I know exactly what the water levels are pretty much all the time. We also have a wide selection of on-site testing as well. So if I need to test for potassium or phosphorus or something else, I can test for that on site, or I can send everything out. It's cheaper for me to send it out than it is for me to test it on site. But if I need to check it on site, I can.
Yeah. I just recall a point that I want to share here. The aquaponics in Vietnam is not new, but it also can be a modern method to cultivate some plants. And along with that, it would be a very huge investment at the first time. That's why the price of the product is also high. That's almost some of obstacle that for our plant here, and we have to work on that. So come back to the question that you asked about for the grower, that I think who want to jump in this area, we need to do some market research and calculate carefully about the final price that he or she can produce, and compare with the accepted price on the market. It will make a lot of more sense to decide to spend or not spend money in this.
Oh yeah, and there's in aquaponics, we've seen this in cannabis with CBD, THCV, and a couple of other compounds, and I'm sure there's other medically important compounds that are produced by other plants, where aquaponics specifically dramatically increases the expression of certain medically important compounds in plants. Because of the microbes that are naturally present in an aquaponic system. So we're going to find, as we research this more, that certain medicinal crops are going to grow and produce significantly more economically in aquaponics than in soil. I think longer term, as we do more and more research on this topic.
Yeah. So in case that you want to, you have a tool to record or need a tool that you want to compare or manage, that we can work on it, because as you know, I have an app and a tool that you can manage and watch everything is going on. I think it would be useful for you.
No, that app is super awesome. Definitely excited to check that out, and definitely want to get my garden running on it here when I get my new garden set up this weekend.
Yeah,
I want to get it all set up on there.
Okay, so I will send you my email, then please share some more information about that, and we can work from that.
Sure. Yeah, I actually just shared your links for both your Apple and Android versions in chat here. I already saw 3 different people mentioning they've already downloaded the app and they're ready to check it out. So it looks like you're already getting a bunch of people on there. So
yeah, thank you. That will be like a bunch of a ton of asking questions that I need to spend on time.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure I'll make sure that we have the link to that both in the description for the audio version as well, if you're listening to this in audio format.
Yeah.
So can they find the English version from that as well, from that link? Or
yes,
to download it?
I'm working on it, and it will release soon.
Okay, cool.
Because once I do a demo period for a farm in Cambodia, so I have based on that version, and we can translate it quick.
Awesome, very cool. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with us about aquaponics in Vietnam? If not, I don't want to tie up your whole day. I know you've already given us an hour of your day over there, and it's about midday over there. You were kind enough to join us Friday morning your time.
Yeah, it is just a Friday morning, and our common day of work. But I spend this time for you. But I think it's pretty much now, and if we have chance to in the future, we will share more detail and more interesting that we can find to share.
Yeah, definitely let me know when you have that English version finished up, and we'll make sure we get that out. I know I'm definitely excited to check it out as well.
Sure, of course.
Well, why don't you tell everybody how to find you, how to find out more information about what you're doing, and how they can follow all the awesome tech that you've been working on with the KNF stuff. I think a lot of people have really had a lot of new ideas, especially with doing the liquid IMO fermentation, as well as getting some higher data on the, longer fermentation being better, especially for those macronutrients. That definitely was, eye-opening for me for sure. And I'm super excited to have you on.
Yeah, thank you. That surprised me also.
Well, I'm glad we have people like yourselves that are curious and documenting this type of stuff. I definitely look forward to hearing more from you, and we'll definitely have to have you on again and tell us about your latest experiments and testing in a couple of months.
Yeah, agree.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you, Steve, for spending a day for me, and we'd love to see you again.
Awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Cheers. All right. Well, that was awesome. Definitely one of the more interesting KNF interviews that we've had in quite a long time. That was a super cool interview that we had a chance to do. He's definitely someone that I've wanted to interview for quite a long time. We will have a bunch more content coming out here. I am actually moving the rest of my stuff tomorrow. About half of it is moved already today. I got to move the rest of it tomorrow. We had a bit of a delay this morning, but we'll have a lot of more information and a lot more content. I'll have my microscopes back up. We'll have a grow going again for my own personal plants, and we'll have some other cool, fun stuff going on that I can't quite share yet, but I will be able to share here in another week or two. That is also part of why I'm moving, and you guys are going to be super stoked on this. So definitely look for that, especially if you're in Oklahoma. We have some super badass concentrates that you guys are going to be wanting to get your hands on here in September. So definitely be looking for that as a sneak preview. So definitely look forward to that. And then be sure to check out too, Marty and I have actually had quite a few people signing up for the class lately over at apmjclass.com. Be sure to check that out. Marty and I actually have a ton of new content. I actually have about 200 new slides that I've created that we're going to be recording to add on to the 600, almost 700 slides that we currently have. And I actually have a whole new set of about 150 slides that I've already started on that are on top of that we'll be recording as well in the next recording batch. So be sure to sign up before Black Friday. Black Friday, we're going to start season 2. Which will be included. Season 1 will be included in season 2 if you want to, or you can buy the base class and then buy the next chapters as you want as add-ons later on. So sure, check that out. Marty also has the new greenhouse build out as part of the new content for the class. So if you haven't checked it out already, be sure to check that out. We'll be re-recording some of the additional extraction stuff and some of the other cool stuff when we get into the new space here soon. And just a ton of new content that we have all queued up and curated and ready to go. We just have to film or record the audio, and I'll be moving into a new space where I'll have a lot more studio space and a lot more room to do things and record stuff for you guys. So super stoked on that and just excited to do that. So definitely be looking forward to that. What else is going on? I'll be up in Oklahoma City for the Lucky Leaf Expo. I'll also be, I don't know if the other one's public yet. I'll be at another event in September. You guys can check that out. Don't forget about the second annual virtual Aquaponic Cannabis Conference coming up here in November. Sorry, I don't even know what day I'm throwing this damn event. In November 13th and 14th. We have a ton of cool guests, including producers from Bangladesh, Canada, South Africa, and around the world. So be sure to check that out. We have genomicists, we have soil biologists, we have KNF experts that you probably never heard of before, and a whole bunch of just really freaking awesome guests that I'm dying to hear from. So super excited about that. So definitely check that out. Also check out the nutrients over apmjnewts.com if you need nutrients, aquaponic cannabis stuff. We have a bunch of cool new stuff we'll be talking about here. When I get into the new space, I'll actually have an aquarium set up, and we're going to do a grow tent connected to an aquarium with a new kit that we're going to be putting out here in a couple of weeks, along with the nutrient line that pairs with that kit. So if you already have an aquarium, you buy the filter kit, you slap it on there, you connect it to your grow beds you already got going for your plants. If you're already doing flood and drain beds for your hydro system, and away you go, right? So it just kind of simplifies the whole thing, makes it brainless, makes it easy, makes it so you don't flood your house in the process, and gives you the nutrients you need to grow your plants in your own home from your aquarium. So I think a lot of people have been asking me for that for a couple of years. So super stoked to finally see that coming to fruition, along with some other stuff that's been a couple years in the works. Got rid of a couple of people that were dead weight, and finally got together a master team of people that are going to be able to do some super cool stuff with once we get moved here. And you guys will find out who that is soon enough. Don't worry. But super cool things in the works. All good things. Lots of change, but good change. And we'll see you guys again next week. We have who was going to be on the show last week, but I had a whole bunch of crazy shit happen last Thursday. We will have the Landrace Preservation Society next Thursday with the wonderful weeds of Mexico. They have a whole new breeding program that they've been working on about landrace Mexican and Central American cannabis strains. So super stoked to talk to them on that. That'll be our guest next week. And then once I get finally in the new studio, we might even fire up 2 shows a week again. I don't know if we're gonna do Tuesdays. We'll see. Fumi has this show on Tuesdays, who have kind of been on his show at least once a week. So if you aren't familiar, go check out Fumidor and the Flavors. We have all kinds of fun over there. It's a little more laid back than this show. The show has kind of gotten more formatted as we've gone on. His show's a little bit more like hanging out at the bar with a bunch of growers. It's a lot of fun. So thanks everybody for watching. That's everybody for your support. One other programming note, I will continue to put out the short versions of a lot of the interviews. A lot of people have been asking for kind of shorter versions or just the cutout interviews with different guests that we've had over the years. So we'll be putting those out once a week every Wednesday, along with different live events that I'm at and doing recordings of on Wednesdays. So as we get into some of the different live stuff as well, we'll be including that on the Wednesday cut. So every Wednesday we'll have a different pre-recorded section for that, and then we'll also have some different interesting stuff on Mondays. I'm going to try and put out kind of a pre-recorded educational video on Mondays, and then the live content on Thursdays. So you can kind of look forward to 3 days a week of content at least. For now, that's the goal. Eventually, I'd like to get back to 2 live days, but we'll see. That may or may not ever happen with my current schedule being a little bit more full than it used to be, but that is the ultimate goal. We have some cool shows that I would like to do that we never kind of got the time to do. So hopefully now that I have a little more roots set down in the new spot, we'll be able to get those recorded as well. So thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. Thanks, everybody, for supporting the show every week. And we will see you guys next Thursday. Cheers.